Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining the Duranopod channel. This is just kind of the first live stream here. We're going to be discussing like five important topics. We're going to have an FAA discussion with Justin as our guest speaker. We're going to have a discussion about the Fimi Mini Pro impressive specs, and we're going to be talking about 1 month later with the Fimi Mini. Also, we've been hearing rumors out there, not rumors, but comments out there that DJI range limit due to the new firmware. So, and the last but not least, we're going to be talking about the DJI SE now at Walmart.com. All right, so with that said, let me bring in the rest of the guys here, guys. Let me stop sharing this screen. And so here's Justin. Hey, welcome, Justin.
Good evening.
Robbie, how you doing?
Hey, everybody.
Fred.
Hey,
welcome.
what's up?
And of course, we got Brad. So here we are, guys.
Last but not least.
Yeah, man. Well, check out all the folks on the live stream already, guys. Thanks for showing up, Matt, Brad. I mean, we see a lot of people out there, right?
Yeah, we got Drone Views Media has been in the chat since early on. Matt, we got Border Drone Seekers. Welcome. Who else do we have? We got. I think that covers everybody for the moment, but we should have a few more folks sliding in here in a minute.
I see that. All right, man. Yeah. So awesome, man. Awesome for joining. So with that said, why don't we just talk a little bit about the FAA, Justin? I know that you had a recent conversation with the FAA. If you want to tell us all about that.
Yeah, so what originally happened was I called the FAA for somebody that was on TikTok and on YouTube for their really bad videos that they're posting of chasing people. So I called the FAA and I actually got a hold of the FAA flight enforcement officer over Central Florida. I think that's his title, but he's like the head guy that enforces flight restrictions, all that different stuff. And he had a conversation with me on the phone about this guy's videos, and it turns out that the FAA really doesn't have any legal action from what he was explaining to me to actually enforce the rules on people, because he said if you're on YouTube, the only way that they can fine you or even do anything to you is you have to literally be in the video. So if you are not in the video and you just tell the FAA, well, it wasn't my video, I just reposted it, then the conversation's pretty much dead in the water at that point with them doing anything to you. And then the other crazy thing is TikTok. If you're on TikTok, you're pretty much safe to do whatever you want, because they can't access TikTok from the federal government computers. And he said that
Chinese.
He said that even if he sees the video on his personal phone, that the FAA legally can't take action unless they can access it from their government computers.
So is crazy.
That is crazy.
So, so you basically, you can do whatever you want as long as you don't show yourself flying using a controller and your drone right next to you. Otherwise, they can't associate you flying it. You could just say somebody else is flying it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And they said the reason why it got that way was because they tried to get a subpoena on somebody that had posted a video a couple of years ago, and it turned out it wasn't his video, and they almost subpoenaed the guy, and it turned out that it was an illegal subpoena because it wasn't technically his video. And because of that, now apparently the courts don't work with the FAA on that. So it's super hard for them to get a subpoena on anybody.
Wow.
This is what I was taking from the way he was explaining it to me. And I'm really thinking that's why the FAA has never prosecuted anybody, because technically at the point that they're in at the moment, they can't.
So your thoughts on this, Fred? I know you're part 107. What are you thinking?
Sounds about right. I mean, they can't prove it was you, and there's not a lot they can do.
Absolutely. I mean,
there's a lot of shit online that's fake too.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's how Nurk got busted. Remember that his flight? I don't know if you've seen Nurk's video, guys, of him flying,
absolutely,
flying FPV and flying into the train car while it's moving, flying underneath the train, landing on the train while it's moving. And then at the end, he comes by, lands it right in front of him, takes off his goggles. It's like, yeah. It cost him $15K right there. Boom.
Yeah, from what they were saying is if you're not in the video and they contact you, and even if you do a voiceover on the video, kind of like Ray Kelly does on his videos, how he does voiceovers.
Yeah.
Even if you do that, they can't use that as evidence either, he said. He said because you could just add that to anybody's video.
Absolutely.
So
because you could screen capture everybody, right? I mean,
yeah, I guess the biggest thing is the incriminating evidence is your face, you being in the video. I mean, that's what it sounds like the way you're speaking. I mean, if you're not in the video, they can't prove that it was really you that was flying the drone.
I know. So what else what other information did you gather that you would like to share with the audience? I mean, it's really good stuff to know, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, this guy was, like I said, he was the head of all Central Florida, because like I contacted their office, of course, about this guy's videos because he's claiming he's 107 and doing power pole inspections with a Mini 1. Now, if I don't remember his name down at the bottom there, but you said he was 107, and you know for a fact that you're not doing power line inspections with a Mini 1. But this, like I said, this guy was the head, and I happened to get a hold of his secretary, and she called him out in the field, and he called me back, and he pretty much just spilled all the beans about how they really just can't do anything, and this is why they don't prosecute people, because they can't prove. All you have to say is, I can post an illegal video that's illegal as hell, put it online, and then if the FAA comes to me, all I have to say is, well, I just found it on the internet. It's not my video, and that's it. It's done. They can't do nothing.
Wow. So why should you get the Part 107?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. But it's like you could go out and do all this illegal real estate work and everything else, and as long as you deny it, they can't prove that it was you.
They'd have to catch you like right on the spot then.
Yeah,
basically.
Firsthand. They'd have to be right there to see it and catch you.
Now, I wonder if somebody could videotape you doing it and then turn it in. I think that would definitely get you in trouble.
That would definitely, I would think, would get you in trouble.
Yeah. So we got a lot of people here joining in. We got Marcus from Idaho Quadcopters here. We have, of course, Brad, and we have Johnny Droneflyer. Hey, Johnny, thanks for joining, man.
Hey,
appreciate that, buddy. Good to see you. We got AZ Drones, dude. Anybody know who AZ Dude is?
We know him, but he never shows his face. But he's got like 86 drones. He's got every drone imaginable. And I'm not even kidding.
Sounds like a future guest on the show.
You're thinking just like I'm thinking, Brad. That's awesome.
Hey, just want to throw out there, anybody that's in the chat, please click that thumbs up button if you can. This brand new stream for us, and we need every little bit of help we can to get it kicked off.
Yeah, with dovetailing that thought there, Brad. So, we're definitely going to move this live stream somewhere else. We're probably either going to move it into the World Drone Community, or we're going to move it into another channel. Okay, so we were thinking about, I know Fred and I and Brad and I and Robbie, we were all discussing about the names, and we were thinking about East Coast Drone Addicts or East Coast Drone Junkies. And we'd love to hear your feedback from the audience, see what you guys think, Marcus, obviously, he's hosting 2 different shows, Drone Nation, and then the international, what's the international one called, Marcus? You can type it in, let me know. I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah, Marcus has his own Idaho quadcopter and drone. He's on Drone Nation.
And the international Drone Nation Seekers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he hosts one with Steve Gardner out of UK, and that channel is very successful. Actually, Steve just got Drone Seekers International. My apologies, guys. Drone Seekers International.
There we go.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So, anything else on the FAA stuff?
I mean, not so far. If I find out anything else, because he actually said he was going to contact me back to let me know what he found out about the guy's videos. Because there's one video where he does show his face. So he said he may be able to get him on that video, but he has to take a look at it. But he hasn't called me back. He said he was going to call me back either today or tomorrow.
Very
So,
interesting.
I think it's good that you did that, because the problem is when people don't report stuff like that and everybody starts doing that and causing problems, it's going to cause problems for us, the guys that, you know, we have this, and that's why they enforce laws, and it makes it tighter on guys like us. So anytime you guys see that, you know, either talk in a group or ask somebody, because if we don't stand up for our rights like that, they're just going to make more laws, and we're the ones that suffer from it.
Absolutely. Agreed.
I concur also.
Yeah, man, Justin, we appreciate you sharing that story with us on the stream here.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if I get any updates, I'll let you guys know.
Yeah, I flew last year in Nashville before they had the bombing downtown, and I flew up, not over, but up where I could see down into the Nissan Stadium. That's where the Titan Stadium is. And when I checked with the FAA about that before, they told me that you can fly an hour and a half before an event and an hour and a half after an event, as long as there's no people there. There's no large groups there. So I flew in when there was nothing. I mean, nobody was in the parking lot. It was like early in the morning, and got a shot. And I had posted on Facebook, and someone was like, "Oh, you can't do that. Read the rules. You can do it."
Yeah, and that brings up a good point, Robbie, that people will cause a little bit of a rift and calling those type of things in, still uneducated, thinking that somebody's doing something illegal, which could, you know, cause a few little bumps in the road for us as well. But ultimately, if you're flying legally, you know, you're doing a good job. It's the ones that are flying illegally that hurt us all. That's for sure.
I always send them a link, because there is actually a link in the FFA's website that shows you the rule on that as far as flying around an event like that. So I did that. Actually, I flew and saw it. I was like, uh-oh, what did I do? But I was within my guidelines. So when people do ask me about that, I always tell them, hey, read the link to educate them. That way they're not telling 5 of their other uneducated friends what the rules are. That's what helps with having these groups with us. We can work off of each other, and it's a faster learning process for all of us.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, we are on 10 minutes on the mark, so we're going to move on to the next topic. What do you guys want to talk about? I think we should talk about 1 month later with the Fimi Mini. And
sounds good.
To kick that off, ADK Drones has got the most experience on that, which is Fred Johnson. So what are your thoughts 1 month later with the Fimi Mini, Fred?
I still think it needs some help. Gimbal's fucked up. Well, messed up. Excuse my language. I got a bad mouth.
You're fine. It's a live stream.
Gimbal's messed up. You know, that's pretty much it. I mean, the horizon's not too bad, surprisingly, on this one. I mean, it's off sometimes.
Agreed. Yeah.
Got to disconnect once in a while. I mean, I was watching Marcus's video the other day. He was out in, I think, Montana, and he was getting disconnected like every 5 seconds. And it seems to be just the FPV too. So mine was doing the same thing. So I don't know if anybody else was doing that out there.
I know you and I had that discussion. We were thinking that it was the Wi-Fi router too close to
I think that's what mine was. 'Cause it only seems to do it when I'm like around my house. Like if I go like someplace else, it seems to be fine.
Yeah. So if you're in that heavy Wi-Fi bubble with the RC in your hand, I think that's the problem that I've been encountering.
Just like the 2020, that was really susceptible to any kind of interference too. It's just something to do with their hardware or something. I don't know.
So are you happy with the progress so far with Fimi's firmware releasing and, kind of the evolution of the little Mini?
Yeah, I think they should put out a little more. I mean, it seems like we haven't had one in, what's it been, a couple of weeks, hasn't it?
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, I think they should, be putting it out until it's fixed. But they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
They're not gonna.
Yeah, I
They're going to
know.
put it out when they feel like it, and that's going to be the end of it.
Well,
I mean, I actually have the next firmware, and it sucks. So I mean,
okay,
Don't
you
don't even look forward to it. I mean, really,
yeah.
if they don't change it,
Well,
I went back to the old stuff. So the old one was better.
So guys, if you guys don't know, Fred's been doing a lot of testing for Fimi, so he's got an exclusive line right into support with. So he's got a liaison he works with Fimi on this one. So he's getting beta firmware to test, and he already knows that's pretty crappy stuff, and he's telling me, don't load it, it'll screw up. So go ahead.
I was going to say, Fimi has more of a connection like the Mini 1 does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's more of a. Yeah, it's not dual band. I don't think I can tell you that. I think it's just like a really high potent 2.4, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with it, to be honest with you. They can call it whatever they want in the box, but what they're putting in there, I don't know. It's definitely not anything like DJI's connection. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that shortwave transmission.
I mean, it's glitchy. It reaches out, but you're going to get glitchy. It's almost like analog versus digital in FPV.
Well, yeah, and I'll tell you what, Robbie was there with me today. I did a range test over the James River today with the Fimi Mini, and I got close to 4 kilometers out of that puppy. And the only reason I turned around is because the algorithm was actually very good, by the way. The algorithm said you have enough battery to return home. I'm like, okay, I'll trust you. I'll hit return. I got back with about 18% left on it, which I could have really brought it down low with that lithium-ion battery pack that I'm running in there right now. I mean, I could have brought it down to maybe 5%, but it would have been nagging me the whole time, right?
Yeah,
So,
I think 15 to 20% is probably a good, good place. Yeah, you're really pushing your luck, right?
Yeah, because I brought mine down to 1%. No problem at all to charge back up because they were lithium-ion batteries, not lipos, right? But at 5%, it wanted just to land anywhere. It was like, I'm tired. I want to land.
You got to push it. You got to push up on the stick the whole way.
Exactly.
And then it still comes down, right?
It still comes down. You got to hope you're at 400.
Yep.
Well, see, like DJI drones, they tend to shut off the non-vital components that it needs to make it home on a bad battery, or on like a really low battery. But a lot of these other companies, it seems like as soon as they get down to 5%, it all starts going haywire because everything starts shutting down or half working.
That LZ-106 drone I sent you, Fred, to review, that thing is like that, man. You hit 10%, dude, the camera starts going like this.
I flew that the other day. That's scary. I was flying it.
That's the fun part about it. You scare yourself.
I think I need a little more space for this type of drone.
Yeah, that soccer fields work great for that, by the way. All right, gentlemen, let's see. Anybody else want to chime in on the Fimi Mini?
Well, I was impressed. We did have 10 miles an hour winds today, Al, when we were flying. And when he was taking off, I was worried because we've flown some really light drones over there before, over the James. And actually, the first drone that I flew, what was it? Was it the Spark that I flew?
Yes, it was. Yeah,
and wind caught it. And I said, Al, where's my drone going? And the wind was just taking it away. Man. And actually, that same day, we had a new guy that had bought I think he had a Mini out there. Yeah. And Al said, here, let me show you how to fly it. So the guy hands Al the drone, and Al flies over the water. The kid's eyes were like this big, like, I'm going to lose my drone. It was hilarious.
That's good.
Hey, dude, I probably gave him the best cinematic shot he's ever created on his drone. That day. I mean, I ripped right by the walking bridge over the James River, swung it all the way around, went over to the climber wall, turned around, and came back around. And he's like, oh, I've never gone over the water. I go, all you have to do is this, man. He goes, what happens? I was like, nothing happens, man. Just fly, you know? But anyway, I still keep in touch with Kenny is his name. He's actually a pretty good kid, man. He was an interesting guy. He had a degree in, it was like photography or something, man. So when I handed him my camera, I said, here, man, let's do the outro. He was like all over it, man. He was having the frame right. It was in and out, in your face and back and forth. I mean, he had all the tricks, you know. And
hey, I want to welcome Mikey from Fly Zone Drones. Welcome,
hey.
welcome into the chat. We appreciate you stopping by.
What's up, Michael?
The SE is definitely a response to the Fimi Mini, though. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And the Hubsan Mini, too.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'll tell you what, I like my little Fimi Mini, man. And actually had his first crash today, man. Not even a crash. We were flying for a very limited location. It was actually, you had to fly up and you couldn't go very high because of the canopy, and you had to fly out. So it was kind of like a cliff area, but it was a walking bridge. And so when I came back to land it was real tight space. And I came down, and I think the prop wash just picked it up and shoved it up against the fence, and bam.
Oh, wow.
And so I got me some scratch on it now, but you know what?
Here's a character.
Yeah.
You got any footage on that?
I do.
Yeah,
I
we both do.
We
Nice.
both. Oh, I was wearing a chest cam. You were wearing.
I was going to say, if you don't have footage, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, I'll say this though. He still has a working gimbal.
Nice.
Try it with an Air 2. It always breaks. The plastic. It always breaks.
Well, I tell you what, Marcus dropped his just doing something. He broke his gimbal too on his Mini, like the one we were discussing. I think he just got it back because he's obviously flying it now.
I think he bought a new one. I think he got a new one from somebody.
Oh, okay.
I see so many
It doesn't
people.
look like they're built that sturdy. I mean, you can look right through the damn things. They're like
The bad thing is, Fred, is they won't sell. If you'll look like at the gimbals for the Air and the Pro and stuff like that, they'll sell all the plastic pieces to put back on around the camera, and you can do it. But it seems like when they come out with a new drone, DJI will not release any of those pieces for the camera for like 2 years. So you got to buy the whole camera. So when someone starts 3D printing that stuff, they're going to make a bundle because, you know, when you first get your drone, nobody wants to use the propeller guards. No one wants to use the sun shields. Let me tell you, if you've got an Air 2 and you got a sun shield, put that thing on there because it sticks out further than the camera. I don't care about the sun, but I was flying in my front yard, just messing around, and I got real close to a bush. Well, of course, you know, anything loose that the propeller will get, it pulls it in. It pulled it in the bush, which wasn't a problem. But then it threw it over in the road, and it landed upside down, broke the gimbal, the plastic piece. Everywhere I checked, and no one had the actual gimbal in stock because it was probably, I don't know, 2 months after it came out, 3 months after it came out. So nobody had any replacement parts. And I always tell people now, always get a sun shield. And on the new drone for the Air 2S, you know, as soon as they come out with a sun shield, I would buy one. And also because the camera is bigger and it's got a bigger lens, when it goes to position itself, if you're on a solid surface like cement or wood or something, it probably won't touch. But if you're on a surface like grass or anything where it can touch when it positions itself, if you can put those extensions on the legs or like under the helicopters where they got the little things that lock in, that'll give you a little bit more height. So honestly, if I'm going to fly somewhere where I've got a lot of trees and stuff, I'm going to start putting the propeller guards and stuff off just for the fact that I would prefer to bounce off of something to get wrapped up into something because I've experienced it before. And they're inexpensive parts. So that stuff that we, you know, that I try to, you know, send links to on my channel and just say, look, these are cheap things that you can put on your drone. They will protect your investment. And because I didn't do it on mine, had I used that $10 part, I wouldn't have had to spend, $380 on a new camera because a plastic piece broke.
Yeah, I bought 3 of the PGY Tech sunshades, one for my Mini 1, my Mini 2, my Air 2, and I bought all their landing gear extensions. And all together there was probably about $50-$60 with taxes and everything. It's worth it.
I haven't noticed anything in having any of that stuff on the drone that affects battery or weight or any of that. It's not that much. Yeah. But I mean, like if me and Al will go fly over the river or something, no, I wouldn't put the propeller guards on. But if I'm going to be around a lot of trees or something, I'll always do something. But I'm a protect the gimbal guy now. I mean, I'm just like to the point of I need 3D printers to make some of these parts, because you would not believe how many people in our Facebook group, if you go down there through and scroll, it's like every 30 or 40 posts people put, hey, I broke my gimbal. Where can I get the parts? There are no parts. You got to buy the camera.
I get a question a day on that one video I put together with the broken gimbal. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up on the Mini, unless you guys have something else on the Fimi Mini.
Hey, no, the only thing I was going to say was what Robbie just said about 3D printing. If you need something printed and you've got a file for it and you don't have a 3D printer, I've got 2 of them.
Cool.
That's right. Brad has been making these things too, man. You can't believe.
Oh, well, that's a laser engraver. I make laser engraved stuff.
I thought about getting one of those.
Can you laser engrave a drone?
Probably
on their drone.
Probably. I haven't tried it. I mean, it's plastic. I should be able to engrave right onto it. Yeah.
As long as it's got a pretty. Let me know.
We'll talk. We'll talk.
This is 3D printed. This is the Recon 3, guys. I just started to fly it today. I just got to pair it up on and all it takes is one 1850 in there. That's all. So right here, 2 1850s. I got probably 30 minutes of happy time. FPV, good stuff, man.
I gotta get in. I haven't even flown mine yet. My
you got it. Yeah, you got it. And that's what Justin was just talking about. So yeah, I mean, just simple as heck. But here's the deal, guys. You put this on backwards, you're going to fry it. You will fry it. You see this plus sign on there? Follow the plus sign. Okay, enough of that. All right, so we're going to talk about the impressive Zino Mini Pro specs. I know we talked about it, and I'm going to share my screen so we can go over the specs, and you guys chime in anytime you want. Share screen. Yes. Okay, so here we are, guys. You can see that this is the AliExpress, and they're currently listed at $485 to $535. It's a little bit on the expensive side, but it does have some nice sensors on it, right? Front, back, and bottom. So it covers 3 points of protection for collision. What I really like is this page here, the one that I don't understand what they're saying.
You can't read that?
Is that supposed to be under 250 grams, though?
It is, yes.
Well, then I don't understand if DJI couldn't fit all those sensors into theirs.
Yeah.
Are they sacrificing features of other stuff in order to get those sensors in there? That's my concern.
I don't think so. I don't think DJI was willing to do that. DJI is always about angles and trying to get your money, right? And positioning of their products. That's why the SE just came out, and we'll talk about that one next because it's now sale on Walmart. But here's some interesting facts that I was looking at, guys. See these right here? It's got a nice little motor. So it's got this 1503 motor. And it's a nice little motor, man, because let me show you. I'm going to stop sharing for a second and I'll promote myself. Because of this is the Emax Baby Hawk 2 HD. And it's got 1404 motors. And this sucker here is a sub 250 gram drone with the 800. Let me get the battery. I'll show you.
Hey, and while he's doing that, I want to say thank you to Senator Perry for the $2.02 super chat.
Yeah, Senator Perry, you have been so helpful with so many things with my channel. Thank you so much. Yeah, so this is the battery is a 4-cell 850 MHA, and it's a 40C if I remember right. This right here, this combo, it's sub 250. So that's impressive. But if you look at this frame, it's solid, it's thick. Okay. And I've dropped this from like a 200 feet.
Al, is that carbon fiber?
It is. Yeah. Yeah. It is carbon fiber. And the only modification I've done, I've duranified it. So I put a beeper in here. So when I lose it in the tall grass, I just hit that beeper and I find it. All right. Let's go ahead and unpromote me and share that screen again. Let's go over the specs. I think that some of these things are really, really important. We need to, talk about
What's the top speed on those specs?
I don't remember right off the bat. Let's take a look at how many meters per second. So maximum horizontal speed is 16 meters a second. Anybody willing to do the calculator while I work through this? So thanks, Brad. So give us a speed, miles per hour or kilometers per hour, or whatever you want. That is in sports mode,
like 3580.
Yeah, about 35. Yeah, 35.8. Yep, you're right, Fred.
So it's like a mile per hour under the Mini 2. So it's right there with the Mini 2.
Yeah, it's right there with the Mini 2. And it has some more impressive feature is the sensor. I don't think I picked the right spec scheme. No, I did pick it. See this sensor? It's 1/1.3. So it's a little larger than a 1-inch sensor is what I'm looking at here. If the audience is listening, correct me if I'm wrong. But that's impressive. Let me get back up here to the. So the other impressive thing is the gimbal pitch degrees is 120 to 45 with 35 of yaw and roll, which seems to be at about average. Justin, do you remember those for the Mini 2 or Mini 1?
No, but there's also that portion in the menu when you go into the settings where you can make it even farther.
Yeah,
right.
You can unlock it to go even farther where it almost looks straight up.
I think it'll go 60 degrees upright, something like that.
Yeah, and you can do that with the Air 2S, also the Air 2S also. Yeah, but the other important thing here, guys, is the transmission. We're coming back on 1K video back to our display. Yay, right? Because the Fimi Mini 720, Fred, is that correct?
That it is, if you're lucky.
Yeah, 720. But this is 1K transmission. We're doing 20 megabits per second. What else here? It's got the Sync LIAS. I had 3. I have no idea what that is. I have no idea.
And you saw what Drone Views Media put in there about the weight of it too. Like they leave you no room to really add any accessories to it. If you even put an ND filter on it, it's going to put it over the weight.
Yeah, just kind of like the original Mini, right? With the lithium-ion batteries, right?
Oh, no. It actually left you about 8 grams of weight difference that you could add. Like you could put motor caps on it, you could put some landing gear, and you'd still be at like 248, 249.
That's the Mini 2. But the original Mini puts you with the lithium-ion batteries. That was right at 249, wasn't it?
I don't think it was right. I think it was still a few grams under, but I can't remember. But I know the Mini 2 definitely is like 8 grams under. I think it's like 242 or 243.
Okay. Yeah, it is. I think it is 243. I think you're right.
Okay, good. So I'm wrong. Thank you. But the video resolution is nothing new. They're at 4K 30, 2.7, 3060, 1K at 3060, and thank goodness they didn't do a 720 at like 240 because it was junk anyway. And we discussed in like the test live stream about the 100 megabits per second to 200 megabits a second.
Yeah, that's wow. That's a lot.
And the other is just 265 for the codecs.
Yeah, no 264, which we were talking about, right?
And it beats the pants off DJI with the internal memory, just crushes it, right? Because what do you get on the Air 2S and on the Mavic 2 Pro?
I think it's what, 8?
8 gigs. Yeah.
So, I mean, the minimum, you double it even in the lowest configuration. And I don't think you can get it in 16. I think you can only get it in 64 or 128, correct?
Yeah, I believe
But
so.
you don't even, honestly, on the Air 2, using the internal memory sucks anyway because it like gobbles up the cache and then your video will start freezing real bad.
Yeah,
so
but
you don't really want to use it anyway unless you're in an absolute pinch.
Yeah. So the Range is another kind of very impressive thing. You see that 10 kilometers on it, and they're using a 5.7 to 5.8 gigahertz band. So, Fred, what are your thoughts? 5.8 instead of 2.4.
That's what DJI is using, isn't it? They're bouncing back and forth. So
They're bouncing, yeah.
Yeah, with the dual band.
Yeah, it's a dual band. So this one is just modulated between 5.7 and 5.8.
I mean, it's probably just going to pick the best band, I'm sure, out of the group, right?
Yeah,
The rest of them do. So
I guess so. Yeah. So
I mean, with that, you get like penetration with that. Like if you're going through trees and walls and shit, you know.
Well, on DJI, they bounce between, I think, 14 different transmission
channels.
signals.
Yeah.
Different channels. Yeah. So they're switching back and forth so nicely that, avoid stuff. But is a 1K transmission back to the phone. I can't remember where that's at, but I know it's in here. Image transmission, flight controller. Let me see if I find that.
Yeah, you and I were talking about that, Alan. I think it was up higher the other day when we were looking at it.
Like, I really want this drone to be everything that it says, but just with past experience with other companies, there's always something that seems to fall short somewhere. So I really want this drone to be as good as they're saying, but I always have that in the back of my head with these other companies because there's always it's like the Fimi Mini, they always have issues with those damn cameras.
Well, what about that price point though that you were saying, Al, in the beginning, that you think that price point's going to be where they're saying 500 to 535? I mean, that seems a little high.
It really does for what you're offering, but
if it comes with all those features, now it's worth that, right? But
agreed with the collision detection. Yeah.
I think it's high for their name because they don't have that let's say backing that the DJI name has.
They don't have the reputation.
Quality.
The history of producing good stuff, right?
I got the 128 with 2 batteries, and it was almost $700.
Yeah, that's a lot of dough, that's for sure. But if it's anything like the Fimi Mini, I mean, you're in good shape because you can't get mini batteries easy right now for the Fimi, right?
You can't.
So 500 batteries sold out in 2 hours.
AZ Drone Dude went on Alibaba, I think it was like 2 days ago, and they wanted 125 a piece.
That's somebody to buy 5 of those.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody over there in China is buying them up too, and then just putting them, for double the price.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they could be stealing them out of warehouses too. They could have an inside man.
It's $35 for a standard battery, and it's $44, I think, or $49 for the Pro. I can't remember what they said.
Which
it's 40 something for the Pro.
Yeah, that's Mini 1 and Mini 2 prices right there.
It's supposed to be out Friday, the Pro battery. So we'll see if it comes out.
Hey, I don't know if how long Blair Uplifting Tech has been in the chat, but welcome.
Hey, Blair. Yeah, man. So interesting stuff. There's no doubt about it. So I am definitely going to do a video. Probably somebody going to steal my thunder and make it before I do. I got the fish scale apparatus to measure the thrust on the drones. I'm going to definitely have the mini war and see which one has better thrust. Lifting power. We'll see.
If anybody can do it, we know you can, Al.
Yeah, and the last time the Zino almost cut my throat.
I'm waiting for an All-Tail Mini. That's what I want to see.
Mm.
I don't think they'll ever make one.
Why?
It would be
Might be.
interesting.
Why?
I think I don't know, because I was watching something somewhere or reading something somewhere, and somebody said that had connections in Autel that they were never going to make one.
So he had inside information, huh?
Supposedly, yeah. I mean,
Just
it was
crushing our
somebody from
dreams.
Autel. But we'll see. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. So I'm a big fan of Altel. I know original Dobo is, right? I mean, he beat the crap out of the Evil first on the Horizon, just beat him over the head. And by the way, my Air 2S today had Horizon problems.
What?
Yeah.
Huh.
And I'll show it on the video on the range test.
Mine was out of focus a little bit when it first took off today too. It took a minute to focus.
Yeah. So everybody talks about, DJI being perfect. They got the same issues. You spin the Mini 2 around fast, you'll see the Horizon tilt on it. Big time.
Did you do what'd you do? Reset the gimbal setting? Like, did you reset it to where it recalibrated it, or?
No, I just flew the hell out of it.
Because usually if you do the recalibration, usually it fixes it almost instantly.
Yeah, but you got to bring it down and do that. So, you're 4 kilometers away. I'm like, I ain't bringing that back.
You can't. That's a good question. You can't hover and do a calibration, I guess, huh?
Not over the water.
Turn the controller off and turn it back on.
That's when you just cheat and just hold the screen and just try to tilt it crooked with your finger.
Hey, Al,
Yeah.
Al,
Yeah.
I'll hold the GoPro while you do it over the James River.
That's what Robbie was doing.
And let me tell you, when he had his Skydio over the walking bridge and looked at me and he said, it's tried to land. And I said, what do you mean? He said, it's trying to land. We watched the Skydio go right into the water. And when it hit, there was no floating. It was like a genie made it disappear. And I looked at Al and I was like,
oh, wow.
We couldn't believe it. Could not believe it.
And I had like these 3 Christian guys next to me, and they were trying to get my attention because they wanted to pray with me. You know what? And after that they went in the water. I was like, yeah, come on, man, let's go pray.
I should have prayed before.
But yeah, we made a decent video of that whole scenario, Robbie. That Skydio actually listened and replace the drone. Thanks to you and Idaho Quadcopter Marcus and for beating on Skydio, saying Al has been doing good work.
Right. But Al, didn't they tell you that it was a software issue and they did a firmware update to fix that issue?
The same day it got released is when I was up in the air.
Yeah.
So I never found the update, and it just. So here's the deal, dude. If you turn off your controller, what is your drone supposed to do?
Return to home.
So I turned off the controller. I turned off my beacon. Then I started everything up again and tried to fly with my phone. I tried to fly with the beacon, tried to fly with the controller. And it just sat there and hovered and did nothing. And it was like your child drowning, man. It was
now there are settings for that, right, Al? Did you double check to make sure those settings later were set to return to home?
Yeah, the setting is don't fly over water.
Well, Al had a couple of minutes on there, Brad, that it was just hovering, that he was going through stuff. And I was actually flying around doing my crazy stuff. And then I flew by him when he was going out before it hovered. And he looked at me and he goes, land, we got a problem. I'm like, what's wrong? It's trying to land. It's like, what do you mean it's trying to land? Keep it up. Keep it up. And finally, it was gone. There's nothing. We were helpless.
That was a sick feeling, guys. I mean,
I know. I'm sure it is.
The AZ drone dude, the one that we were talking about, he's got a brand new Skydio sitting in the case for months and he's never flown it.
Oh my
brand
God.
New. He's got a bunch of brand new drones just sitting in cases that have never been flown.
I was impressed with it.
Yeah, it's definitely the best, optical avoidance drones on the market, right? Obviously, 6 cameras to avoid objects, right?
Me and Al went out and we taped the the beacon to the top of, I think, the Pro 2, one of the parks here in Richmond, and followed it. It was everywhere his drone would go, the Skydio would follow it. Perfect.
Yeah, so I strapped the beacon to it, and it just flew around chasing the Mavic 2 Pro. So, you know, the only thing about the Mavic 2 Pro is gray. So when you get a shot from above it, you can't see it. But if you get a shot from something like this above it with, you know, the green background, it pops. You know what I mean? And when it's up in the sky and you got a lot of clouds, you can't see this very well because of the white. But that Skydio 2 following that Mavic 2 Pro was impressive.
Well, you know, DJI drones won't track each other. Like if you try to lock onto it with the auto track, it recognizes that it's another drone.
Yep.
I tried to do an experiment at the park, and it did not work.
Fimi won't track the Mini either, or vice versa, or it won't track the DJI Mini either, too, because I've tried that, or the Air 2S.
The only time I've ever seen that work was with the original Mavic Pro, and that was back when it first came out. I had somebody else I knew when I was in Texas had one, and it followed me around. It tracked me for a little while, but I think about within 6 months or a year later, that feature wasn't working anymore.
Oh, talking about that, that kind of reminded me of something here with the Zino Mini Pro, as they're calling it. They were talking about their software being able to differentiate between cars, boats, and
people or animals or something like that.
Motorcycles, and now they can differentiate between animals and people. And that's what they were saying for active track. And let me go ahead and share my screen here.
I know the DJI drones do with the cars and stuff because they'll have the little logo.
Yeah, remember
It'll look
that?
like a car.
So I'm wondering if that's the case here because they're showing people on a bike and they're showing a doggy and then they're showing obviously a car there. It looks kind of like a sports car, but
I'm willing to bet none of that shit works.
Yeah, because look, DJI has a hard problem getting that technology right. Skydio is the only one that's really like nailed that.
Yeah, and I agree because this got 6 additional cameras working on it.
Usually drones like that, even the Fimi, you're good until you get out of the screen. You got your screen width each way, and then it tends to slowly lose you.
Yeah, or you run under it, you know, or you overshoot your target. And then it's like
once in a while you'll see a good one, you know, somebody will have, you know, where it chased them all around, you know, pretty good, but it doesn't work like that every time.
Oh, I did one on my bike, and everybody was making fun of me because I was breathing real hard. I was like, that's what I breathed hard anyway. So
hey, at least you didn't wreck. He was filming me one time, and I pulled a wheelie.
Oh yeah,
and I flipped the bike, hurt my leg. I limped back. But it caught it.
Bloody mess. It was a bloody So the Mini tracked him while he was doing the wheelie, and he crashed and burned, man. And it was my bike spun, like my derailleur doesn't lock on in the lower gears, you know, when you're up in first gear. And so when he womped on it, it jumped from first to second, and just once he was up on the wheelie.
And no coming back.
And then of course he would crash, man.
But it did track it good. And then we also tried we did the active track on the Air 2 with the boat, and it did really well.
Yeah.
When we did that.
I did it with my car at 22 miles an hour in sport mode, and it kept up with me.
I did on my boat at 38. 38, it kept up. And the Mavic 2 Pro was the king. It did not lose me until 40. But I was my speedometers on my boat. But I do have a competition ski boat with dual speedometers. So I got dual speedos because when you run your slalom course, you have to run at 35.6 miles an hour. And you can't be off by a tenth of a mile. And you can't run over the buoys. You got to stay within the buoys. Otherwise, the run won't count. So, if the skier makes it and the judge says, you didn't run that right on your boat, they'll rerun it. And that's what I did in Justin. That's what I did in down in Winter Haven.
Yeah, the Skydio is mainly for people that are hikers, bicyclists, off-road people. You know what I'm
Bikes.
saying? It's not really made for people like me that want to go and explore an island or go out, and fly over the ocean.
Exactly.
It's really
That's
not that type of drone.
It does okay with that, but it just doesn't have the range. Well,
it's meant for chasing people. It's meant for chasing stuff.
Yeah, but it does have a good camera if you want to use it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The freaking camera is really nice. And because I've flown it as cinematic drone and the sunset and sunrise, and man, I got a couple of videos out and it's doing real well with that. All right, we're at 7:47, so we got 13 minutes before the show. Let's see, anything else we want to cover on the let's see, the Zino Mini Pro. Oh, going once, going twice, gone. All right, so what's the last topic on the agenda? Anybody remember?
SE.
DJI Mavic SE. No, not Mavic. I'm sorry. Mini SE.
Well, we got two more topics. Yeah, we were talking about the SE. We're probably going to suck the wind out of the rest of this conversation, right? But the range limit with the new firmware. Fred, I'll let you start on this one.
I don't know. I flew yesterday and it seemed to be all right. Maybe it was just like something in the air, but other people noticed it too. Like it just after the last update, it seemed like the range wasn't as good on the DJIs. I don't know.
What was your range prior to yesterday?
And where I've been flying, I've been getting around 6,000 feet, 7,000 feet tops, and
that's a mile and a half.
And I could get a little bit further than that yesterday, so maybe like a little over. I think I got 8,200 feet or something like that. But I was also using Yagis too that I don't usually use on there.
Okay. So Robbie, question for you.
Yes.
What was my range on the Air 2S today? You remember how far I flew?
Like 4.3?
4.3 kilometers.
Yeah.
Anybody have a calculator handy?
Well, a 5K is 3.2 miles. So kind of give you a rough between that.
Okay, so I got about 3 miles and a little less than 3 miles today. And the algorithm actually brought me back in time so I could hover over some beautiful young ladies sunbathing at the river.
Al's flying. I'm like, Al, where are you at? I'm distracted.
Well, I really think when they say like if the range is 6 miles, they mean it can go 3 and then make it 3 back.
We can go probably 8 miles, but it ain't
yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Any of those range tests, any of those range numbers are going to be total distance.
I was really impressed with the distance on that and how good it punches through those trees compared to my Air 2 and that. And the video, because the bigger camera, it's worth the extra, because I've had a lot of people ask me, is it worth the extra to buy that drone? Just for the punching power of being able to reach out further. Because a lot of times me and Al will fly around stuff like railroads, magnetic stuff. This one does so much better in distance than the Air 2 does. It's worth the extra money, in my opinion.
I have a feeling the FAA is going to put a limit on how far drones are going to be able to go at some point. And then they're just going to make it to go that far, and then they're just going to solid that signal up so much that you're never going to have no connection issues. At some point, it's going to hit a range, and then you're going to be full bars all the time.
I think they can do it now if they wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
When it does, I'll tell you that I'll tell you what it's like, because I'll be going back to Thailand in a couple of months probably. I live there full time, and they don't have those rules. So I can fly over the islands and never have to worry about it.
Well, unfortunately, I think some of the other countries, they're adopting a lot of our rules and regulations, right? So you just don't ever know how long that'll last.
Well, like I said, with my conversation with the FAA, I think the rules are just a suggestion at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
So as you can see in the background, here's the flight. And so I actually get past this next bridge. It is, man, dude. It's
a little
actually
windy?
I'm coming back. Actually,
What bridge is that? The Nickel Bridge?
Yeah, that was the Nickel Bridge. This is where I turned around right here.
Nickel Bridge costs what now? 50
yeah,
cents, right?
So I'm on 4.3 kilometers, and then I turned around myself.
Although there's a lot of trees,
signal.
though, it doesn't look like you have a lot of interference out there.
Right.
And this is the transmission on my phone, so it's just amazing how far I can get. You know,
we were pretty high. We were pretty high when we flew, though, so we had pretty good clearance over most of the trees.
So and the river was so calm today, guys. Look at that.
I mean, glass looks like it.
Well, and if like you're at 200 feet and you're losing signal and you're able to go up to 400 feet without, breaking any airport rules or anything, if you're not close to the airport, you'll actually, your signal can go back up if you kind of gain some altitude.
Yep, and you can see the city in the background, So yeah, it's a long ways out there. That's for sure. Long ways.
That was a nice shot. Nice shot, Al, of showing the river heading towards Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah, and what I was showing here is how beautiful the sky is.
Yeah, a lot of clouds, a lot of character.
Yeah, and I mean, it really is beautiful out here today. I mean, just amazing. And you can see the city in the background. And I actually had a chance to walk out on this bridge and fly under it and freestyle under it with FPV drones. So you can shoot these gaps. See those little holes right there? I mean, right here, you can see those little holes. You can shoot those gaps.
That's that bridge that folks get in trouble with, right? Some people have fallen off of that to their death.
Yeah, and Robbie and I were filming one day, and somebody jumped off on purpose.
Oh.
And we're like, do we want to film this or not? Remember that, Robbie?
Yeah. I got a question for you, Al and Brad, both, because I know we've all flown downtown and stuff like that. Brad, have you ever flown Virginia Beach?
I have not. I've kind of wanted to do that, but there's a lot of strict no-fly zones around there because of the base, right?
Right, and that's what I was going to ask you about. I noticed that the first time I went, I was going to fly off of the pier, right off the beach, and as soon as I started to take off, it said no-fly zone, request permission to fly. And when it does that, it shows your cell number where you've registered your drone, and you hit submit. It sends it over to the FAA, and they respond back with a code. So if you go fly down there, take a piece of paper to pin, because when that code pops up, you can't close it and then put some in and go back and see the number again. It won't let you keep that screen open. And then as soon as I did that, it opened up and it said you're free to fly. So you have to register the drone. It's got to be on your cell number. So the phone you use, that cell number has got to be the one you use. Otherwise, it blocks your whole screen. You can't even fly.
That's good to know.
So you got to get the Fimi or something out, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Look, Brad, you're good if you go over the military base. Worst case scenario, you catch a stray Patriot missile.
Well, I was going to say was, down there, even though they gave you permission on that flight, there's a lot of times where they shut things down when they're doing training and maneuvers around the base. But I didn't know that, but it does make sense that they opened it up.
So I got a little book and a pen because I went down there for about a month and a half, and every time it would pop up and they would always give me permission. But sometimes I would forget the code. And if you forget the code, you can request it again. And then the app will tell you have to wait 5 minutes before you can request to fly again. And then you hit it again. And then air traffic control sends you another code. So I ran into that when I was flying. And then I was flying over a high school football field here in Richmond, and they have a detention center near it. And when I started flying, it said, you can't fly here. You're near a detention center. If you cross the boundary of the detention center, your drone can halt. And I was like, what have they got? Something set up where you can't cross it. So I just brought it down.
Yeah.
Well, some of those geo zones will force your drone to the ground too.
Yeah.
Like if you get too far, if you happen to get into it a little bit, it will make your drone go right to the ground.
Yeah, they don't give you a choice to pull it back out. They'll force it. You're right. I've heard that story.
That's wild.
So the moral of the story is don't go near a detention center, guys, with this.
The power of the big brother.
And don't fly a Chinese drone over a U.S. military base.
Hey, so it's all about the pre-flight check and everything, right? I usually try to check with my apps and everything. They're doing it the legal way. In all honesty, just pick up the apps that you might have. I'm not sure which ones you guys use. I've got a couple of them. I check the windy apps, all the pre-flight stuff, because I don't want to be that guy.
I use Kitty Hawk here.
Yeah, I've got that.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I use
Yeah, I'd like to see
I live in an airport zone, so every flight I fly, I have to freaking.
I do too. I live near Richmond International. I'm 4.95 miles. You heard me right. 4.95 miles away from Richmond Airport Center, and right above me is a 250-foot limitation. But you also have to get permission. If I walk to my in-laws next door, I can take off. No problem.
I have a DJI bow tie that runs right between my house. If I go halfway down my hallway, my drone will stop without authorization.
Well, that's what I'm in. I'm in a bow tie.
What is that?
It's where the planes take off, and they've got it's a bow tie.
The bow ties extend out a lot farther than what the actual airport puts out on their range.
Yeah, the bow tie actually passes by my house, goes way out beyond 5 miles. But they still allow 400-foot AGL. I think it's just more of a warning or just a notification, so you'll know that's the flight path.
No.
Yeah, you just have to
Mechanicsville?
What's that?
Are you in Mechanicsville?
No, I'm actually off of Osborne Turnpike, right next to the James River.
Okay.
So I'm right up. Mechanicsville is on the other side, but I'm over. I can see DuPont across the river from me, and the 288 flyover bridge goes over 95. So that might give you an idea what nobody in the chat's going to understand that. But
yeah,
I'm really close to being able to see DuPont, and the Port of Richmond's right down the hill from me.
So more like the Rockets Landing borderline through that area, through that zone.
Rockets Landing's a couple miles up the road from me, but yeah, I'm down river from that.
Yeah, I'm 12 miles from our airport, but because of the mountains here, they claim extra area because they got to come in like at a a more gradual angle, and they got to come in and actually hook right to get into the airport just because they can't get through the mountains.
Everybody's got their different apps, and I know they're good, and it's I guess you could put them all in there and check everything, but it would be really cool if somebody had it would be cool to have like a website where people could go and post like where they're flying and be able to put a longitude and latitude for other people that want to travel and go fly places. Because I've seen a lot of people on there where they've traveled hours and hours to flying somewhere only to find out that they can't fly.
Well, you can look up the locations on air maps ahead of time. I've done that plenty of times. I've never had issues.
But the point is if you've been somewhere like Al knows everywhere downtown that there is to fly, where you can and where you can't. So without even looking at a map, he could give a recommendation and say, depending on where you want to fly and what direction, here's 10 places you can choose from. I would just like to be able to go through and say, hey, people are flying here. People are flying here. So I can see where other people are flying. That way, maybe I can meet up with some of the other people instead of just using the app.
You're pretty much talking about just cutting out the portion of having to look it up yourself. Make it a little bit more
Exactly.
I got you.
You probably, to be honest, Robbie, you probably won't see that because then that's kind of a privacy issue, right? I don't know.
It probably would be.
You're right, though. That would be a great thing to have. If you opted into something like that, that would be great,
Yeah, agreed. And now listen, guys, we're getting ready to wrap up, but kind of something brought me to attention. So Robbie and I, Dominion Power here in Richmond, Virginia, put up a brand new building, probably 25, 30 stories high. And the old building right next to it, they demolished it. So Robbie and I went down there a couple of days ahead of time to scout out the area because we were going to put a drone up over the building and watch it in demolition, the implosion. And like a good little Boy Scout, the night before, I updated everything on the Mavic 2 Pro. And guess what? They put up a new fly zone, and so I see all these drones right next to the building, and I can't get in because I updated the night before. So the moral of the story is, if you don't want to don't
ever update.
Yeah. But let me show you the video. Here's what we made.
Yeah, it was a cool video.
Yeah, it was my first flight. And when it popped up, I said, Al, what do I do? His response, you're on your own.
We had practice the day before, and Robbie was freaking. So,
Well, you still got a pretty good shot of it, though. That's not a bad distance from it.
well, that in the left side is my long range.
There it goes.
And this is as close as I could get.
No, that's not bad, though.
You were zoomed in as well, weren't you, Al?
Yeah, I was zoomed in, but you could see all these police officers that were down there start running from the dust.
You can see the drones too if you watch through this video and watch through the dust. Look at all the drones that start appearing because you'll see them in here.
Oh,
it may be hard to see in this, but if you watch his YouTube channel, you can see the other drones that are appearing because there's drones behind the smoke that we're seeing.
Now look up here. See this up here?
yeah, there's a bunch of people up on the roof of the building.
They're not just people. There's 3 snipers up there.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised.
Because
dynamite.
Somebody gets hold of that demolition equipment, it's trouble. But you can see as I'm panning around, you see all the police blocking it, but you'll see the smart ones are already getting out of the way. You know what I mean? But the point is that, we were going to be up and close and personal, and the update the night before, they put up a no-fly zone around this right here. Yeah. And the place we flew from, it was really kind of fun. So I'll skip forward. Hopefully it'll show it.
So was it a temporary no-fly zone because of the demolition?
Yeah,
that is correct. And you can,
Okay.
yeah, that is correct. And this was right in the middle of the city, and the brand new building is beautiful, right, Brad? You took some really good pictures for.
Oh, that building, yeah, that building was awesome. Beautiful mirror glass windows, and I bet it was pretty nasty for a while after they dropped that building.
Yeah, it looks pretty messy there.
Yeah, it took probably a week for them to clean all the windows on that building.
And you can see the SWAT team down here. You see that? And that's all the video. That's what
I wanted to get a shot of Legoland during the beginning of the pandemic of Legoland, Florida, but they have it geozone around it because it's registered as a power plant because of all the solar panels.
Oh, wow.
It's not even because it's a theme park. It's because of the solar panels. They actually have it registered as a power.
I'm going to call bullshit on that one.
And it wouldn't let me fly over it because of all the solar panels that they have. The whole park runs off of solar.
Wow.
All right, so guys, before we drop off, and any shameless promotion you want to do for your channel, you're welcome to jump in and do that. Anybody want to start off with the shameless promotions of what's going on in your life or in your channel? So I guess we'll put Justin on the spot for being a guest.
I mean, honestly, I don't really have nothing going on with my channel at the moment. Mostly everybody that's in your chat pretty much is subscribed to me at the most part. So,
well, hopefully this will broaden your base a little bit.
Well,
hey,
besides the other 3 of you and Brad's the only one I know out of the 4 of you. So. You guys.
Well, I'm glad you were able to make it tonight so we can introduce you to everybody. I mean, I'm just getting to know Fred and Robbie. I just met today, so we're all making new drone friends all the time.
Well,
hey, the other thing, Al, the only thing I'll say is I just want to thank everybody for being in the chat and joining us this evening. We had, I think, over 20 at one point, and a lot of good friends in the chat that I recognize, and some new folks as well. We're going to try to do this every week, 7 o'clock Eastern time to 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, so we don't step on other people's toes that might have other live streams going on. Some new format, maybe not a new format. This is not anything newer than what a lot of people are doing, but we're hoping to put some more information out there. To Robbie, to your point earlier, just to educate some people out there with some things that they might not know.
Exactly. Me and Al kind of put together the World Drone Community Facebook group to try to bring in private owners that already have drones, and then also get new people that are starting to fly drones bring them into the group so they can get a little bit of education maybe before they buy a drone. But what we found is I mean, I would say probably 95% of them are YouTubers. We got about 1,300 people that are in the group now. So what we decided to do was, because Facebook will only let us do so much customization with the Facebook, we actually bought the domain for the World Drone Community. We're developing a website for that. So in that, the way me and Al wanted to set it up is we wanted to finally get it set up where we could actually set it up kind of like a political thing where we could pick reps from every state. And then when people have drone questions, they can go to that website and they can click, Florida, who's the rep for Florida? That would be you. And then with that, they answer you the questions, because I don't know what the rules are in your area, or you may not know mine. So I'm trying to make the website informational where people can go to it and use it for a tool. Along with, we're going to have a membership set up built into it to where you're going to be able to register on the website and receive a membership number and a membership card via email. And with this, right now, we're working with some of the manufacturers to see if they'll give us some discounts on the product. So right now, we've talked to Skydio about it. I'm waiting to hear back from them. So you'll be able to use your membership, and they'll have a portal on the website to go through the website, and you can buy the product directly from the manufacturer. And, it helps everybody a little bit. So I'm trying to be able to use that as a tool as we go through, because when Al had the issue with the Skydio, a lot of us toned in and said, look, give him a drone. He does reviews. He's big in the area. So I feel like that we can start a group that gives us a little bit more of a voice when we have an issue with a product, where we can stand up and say, look, we're a huge group. We want to see this issue fixed, or we want you to help our client with this issue he has with a drone. It gives us a little bit more power to use it. They use it against us when they sell us stuff, so we should be able to do the same through them.
Yeah, so the idea is to set up group buying power so we can leverage the numbers, right? And everybody's going to have a number associated with your name. So when you get a promotion of 20% discount, 30% discount, whatever the discount is, you'll be asked to put in a number that's associated to the account. So that's big time help. Also, we're launching a shirt making facility, and so if you guys need shirts or stuff like that, Robbie and I have been bouncing off some ideas to do that. Just like you see Brad, he's into making us some really cool stuff. So very creative stuff going on. And here in my background, currently I am working on my next review is going to be the range test, but after that it's going to be reviewing this little tiny thing and see how well it flies. So this is the Recon 3 from Recon FPV. It's a very, very nice drone. So Fred, I was going to tell you, he had a drop. Dang it, I should have told him to do his
Brad,
promotion. Yeah.
Brad, you guys did really good, because old guy in a drone went live the same time you guys did.
Yeah,
he usually averages 40 to 50 viewers. You guys stayed at about 20 the whole time.
Yeah, and I was going to mention that too. Again, I said it earlier. We try not to step on anybody else's toes, and that we're not here to do that. We're just here to provide a good chat about drones and the FAA, which you brought in, and we're just trying to help the community. We're not necessarily trying to push anybody out at all. Or I was going to bring up, I was looking at the subscriptions on my YouTube, and right now I see the Grumpy Bloggers up live, and also Old Guys Drone Chat live. And I think they both do Monday night shows. Old Guy, he's been up for about an hour and 20 minutes. Grumpy Blogger started, I think, about 20 minutes ago or so.
Just don't get too hung up on the whole time slot thing, because like I said, there's so many channels that are doing lives now that you're just going to have to, you can make it known, hey, I'm not trying to step on your toes, but if you got to pick a time, you're going to pick a time.
Yeah.
It might be good to pull them in to help work with some of those other people where, a group can go over into their channel and they can come over into ours, so we can actually help support each other. And Justin, I don't know if you're new, but on the World Drone Community Facebook group, on that, for both of you guys, post your videos just like you do on your YouTube. Post your links on there. We want you to be able to do that, because that will help you get more subscribers, because the people are already there. So just join Al will accept you, or I'll accept you when it comes through. It's just listed under World Drone Community. Every time you post a video, go there and post it on that too. We want to help support you.
No, I'll definitely check it out when I get off here.
All right, guys. So good show. Thanks for joining.
Great show. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry Fred had to drop. I wanted him to do his shameless, what do we call this? Promotion.
Plug. Promotional plug, yeah.
So awesome.
Is that it right there? Oh, no, you can't see it. It's got the logo with the world and the drone.
It's got this.
Oh, he's got the shirt on.
That's
there
it.
you go.
I got it. I just. Oh.
Thank Justin. We'll approve it.
Hey, so we'll add some of those links into our description, Al, maybe going forward. Some of the other YouTube channel live streams, I think, it's only fair to put those out there and promote other channels as well. We're all out here for each other, and I think that's what it's all about, the community.
All right, and I'm looking at Under the Drone. Good, interesting stream.
I think I'm already joined to your guys' group.
Awesome.
Good deal.
I'm joined to a bunch of them. But
Yeah,
I'm already joined to it. Apparently, I joined it at some point.
Okay.
So everybody, I just want to say thank you again to everybody in the chat. Been a good evening, been a good show. We appreciate all of you being in the chat, that's for sure.
Oh, Fred dropped.
Good night, everybody.
Hey, just one last note here. Fred dropped because his MacBook died. Sorry, Fred. All right. Thanks, everybody. We're signing off. Have a good night.
You guys have a good night.
Thanks. Take care.
Bye.